than Monday Night Playoff football in Pittsburgh? How about starting your day with First Take in the Steel City? We'll be live this coming Monday, January 12th, from Shorty's Good Times Bar. If you're in the neighborhood, come on down and holla at your boy. First Take this Monday, live in Pittsburgh at 10 a.m. Eastern. Holla.
Oh, did we have a thriller in Glendale last night? Carson Beck ran in the touchdown to give Miami the lead with 18 seconds left, and then Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss gave a valiant effort but just fell short. U is moving on with the 31-27 win, and with the loss by Ole Miss, this is now the third straight season that the SEC is missing the national championship game, the longest streak for the conference since 1999 through 2000. Let's welcome in National College Football analyst Josh Pate to join us here on this discussion. Hello, Josh. Good morning to you. How big of a deal is it that the SEC just can't find their way to the Natty the last couple of years?
No, I'm sitting in Atlanta, Georgia this morning. It's a huge deal. I don't know if it's like front page of AJC, but it's a huge deal. I was listening the last hour, and Cam made a point about Indiana most resembling an SEC team. And RC before that said, I think Miami most resembles an SEC team. Well, the problem is neither of those are SEC teams. So no matter which way you go, it's an outside entity that is most reflective of what used to be the identity of this conference. And look, both of those guys played in the SEC. I'm telling you, if you just go to an SEC practice 10 years ago, what stood out the most is, yeah, the starters are really impressive. Mm-hmm. It's the ones they're redshirting. It's the 22 through 60 that you look at and you say, wow, man, that guy's not even going to play for Alabama this year. That doesn't exist anymore because those guys are playing at Michigan State. Those guys are playing at Washington, Arizona State, et cetera. And it was sort of a foregone conclusion that this new shift in Arizona college football, it was going to have an impact. You just didn't know maybe it was going to have this glaring and this immediate an impact. And then it also hurts that you got guys that once resided in this conference, Dan Lanning at Oregon, Kurt Cignetti at Indiana, Mario at Miami. You've got them leaving the conference and then duplicating those results they once participated in enjoying down here elsewhere. Yeah, it stings. It stings a lot for folks in the SEC.
All right, my two former SEC players. How much does it sting, Cam? How much does it sting?
You look so hurt.
It doesn't sting, but I believe in accountability, all right? And I think that the SEC is still at a rate of not being in a situation that other conferences are in. All right, get to your point. Well, the conference scheduling, non-conference competition is still the glaring obvious that other conferences get to bypass. Look at Ohio State. Ohio State gets to play Iowa State, or they get to play Michigan State. They get to play these off-brand teams, and it goes as a tab of a win. Well, you still got a Georgia that still has to play at LSU. They still have to play a Florida. They still have to play these very competitive conference games. Now, my challenge to the other conferences, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, hey, let's do a joint kind of year-end annual competition that sees more competition in other type of conferences. Yeah, am I biased? Absolutely. But when you start to see these bids in the college football playoffs because of the better records, they're not playing the competition on a regularity like the SEC is.
Come on now, Auburn played Mercer and Ball State this year.
Yep, but Auburn also played South Carolina. They also played at Texas.
Not very good
so
this year.
Here's what I'm going to say. SEC has this motto, it's just different. They should change it.
Just means more.
To we ain't different no more. That's what they should change it to.
Bro.
Listen, I went to LSU. I was one of those people that was always like, nah, it's about the attrition. It's about the fact that you got South Carolina and then Georgia, and then you got to go play Kentucky, and then you got to play Florida. I was that guy. That's me. I used to get up here and act like Paul Feinbaum with a fresh edge up. That was me. You can't be that no more. Because still, as we're talking about it, guess what? Bama was still there. Oklahoma was still there. Ole Miss was still there. Georgia was still there. It wasn't like they looked at their schedule and don't put them in. It's 18 million of us ranked in the top 25 at the beginning of the season. So we get the benefit of the doubt. And then we waltz into the college football playoffs, and most of our wins against each other. Alabama got a win who they beat, Oklahoma. Ole Miss got 2 wins who they beat, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the SEC, what Josh is saying is the truth. We used to win because of depth. Think about what Miami did last night, losing players because of targeting, both of your corners down, bringing in freshmen that come out and make plays. That used to be us. It's not that they're taking the players. It's that they are adjusting to what the new era of football is better than we are, because we used to get them all because everybody wanted to play there and everybody was willing to wait, and everybody knew if they played there and you played 1 year for Alabama and you was an All-American, you'd be top 10. Now you can go top 10 from anywhere and you can win a championship anywhere. We ain't the same no more, and you got to stop sitting up here hanging out with Paul Feinbaum.
And you can get NIL money anywhere too. Go ahead, S.A.
Well, you know, nobody's wrong, but I am disappointed in RC's description of how things are, because usually when RC explains, he usually throws in, Josh, you don't know this about RC. I'm about to tell you something about RC. RC, you know, periodically he likes to be, he likes to come across as this relationship expert, And so he always brings up relationships. And so what I'm saying to you is that what he didn't say about the SEC directly, and I'll do it for him, is that cats ain't feeling you anymore. They're not feeling you anymore. I know Cam can relate. I know Cam can relate to it. They ain't feeling you anymore. When you look at the absence of depth. Why? Because teams are choosing to go elsewhere. And it ain't just the second stringers anymore. You got some all-world players that saying, we don't have to be in the SEC anymore the way that we used to. We can go to Big 10. We go to Big 12. We can go to the ACC. We could do this. You see some of these cats on Miami, how they looking? You're going to see, think about that for a second here. Now, we look at the SEC conference, okay? Look, under Kalen DeBoer, he's a good coach. He just ain't in the same class as a Nick Saban. So there's a precipitous drop-off there. We get that. Really, the landscape started to change, one could easily argue, when Georgia won back-to-back national titles. Because you found yourself looking at the rest of the SEC and saying, where the hell y'all at? Let's get to Auburn. We got Cam Newton coming on First Take. It's the only time, Josh, RC, that Cam came on First Take with straight attitude. When Auburn, I never seen this man complain. He didn't complain about the officials more when he was playing in the NFL.
He was hurt.
We've been in that for over a decade. In one show, he complained more about the officials with Auburn when they went there, got the uniform retired, well deserved. We all know I'm proud of our man Cam. But they ruined his weekend. Wasn't Auburn that did that. Wasn't Auburn not being good enough. No, it was the official. This is what Cam was doing. This is what he was doing, okay? I'm just saying to you, I'm looking at some of these teams in the SEC, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. This ain't the days of Urban Meyer. They don't, and Tim Tebow. Florida don't look the same. That's why they had a head coaching change, okay? Kentucky. Don't get me started with LSU. I've never seen anybody more happy about Lane Kiffin in my life than I saw RC when Lane Kiffin decided to go to LSU. Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm happy about that. He was ecstatic. Why? Because of who he was replacing. That's why, because they wanted to get that brother up out of there. The governor of Louisiana, when went away from politics to call out Brian Kelly, okay? This is how bad it was. So I'm just looking at some of these stuff. Now you got Oklahoma added to it. Missouri had a good season. You get it. Mississippi State. Let's not act like everybody in the SEC is worth playing against, and they go up your cachet if you beat them. There's some mediocrity within the SEC conference. And that's really the story right now. We used to then look at it that way. We just focused on the top-notch teams because it was about 5 or 6 of them bad boys. Now that's not the case. All of them look beatable. And that's what's going on right now with the SEC. The allure is gone. They're a Power 4 conference, but the allure that they once had, that has been eviscerated, period.
Can they bring the allure back, though, Josh? Can the allure come back?
No. Not with the people they have.
Hey, the people is not just the players. So Stephen A's right and everything you just said. I got to endorse like 95% of it. Coaching is a huge component on this, and it's not just head coaches. Now, I got a belief on this. I'm going to need a few years for it to bear itself out, or maybe I don't need a few years. I think the SEC got used to rolling out of bed every morning, understanding it had such a disproportionate talent edge on the rest of the country. Frankly, it could be lazy a little bit when it came to hiring, and they loaded up staffs with great recruiters in lieu of great coaches. And you could afford to do it when you outclassed everyone physically. They don't outclass everyone physically anymore, but they haven't fully divorced themselves from this buddy-buddy incestuous hiring practice that they've participated in for so long. The Big Ten doesn't do it. The Big 12's never really done it. They just hire based on merit and football merit alone. In the SEC, you got guys who have been on 3 or 4 staffs, and every fan base, once they get fired 3 years later, asks, how does this guy keep getting a job? It's just the way it's worked in the SEC for a while. The people matter, players and coaches.
Well, two things can be true.
I was talking about the coaches.
Two things can be true, and I think my argument is a little different than what you guys are making the point of. The depth that the SEC once had is gone. It's diminished. I get that. But what I'm also saying, the issue that has not been attacked yet is Vanderbilt is not the same Vanderbilt as we once knew Vanderbilt to be because of the ability to go in the transfer portal and when you have NIL. What I'm also saying to my argument is, why isn't the Big Ten or the Big 12 having to play competitive games as much as an SEC school? Yes, before the season, you will have 12 to potentially 15 SEC schools ranked. At the end of the year, it's only going to be 2 to potentially 3 of them that's going to make the college football playoffs. And they're going to have to play each other. What I'm saying is, all right, I know that the situation of depth is no longer there, but the Big Ten isn't asked to go on the road to play at Texas and then go back to play at South Carolina, then go back to play at Vanderbilt, that's a hot team, then to go back and play at Tennessee. Then you may have a Mercer. You may have a New Mexico State. But then you have to come back and then you have to play a Kentucky. You got to go to Florida. Oh, you get to play a home game versus an Alabama. But, man, that is a tough gauntlet. Other conferences do not have that.
The Big Ten kind of does now, though. Come on, Ohio State did play Texas.
Keep going.
Oh, Indiana and Oregon had to play each other. Yes. Ohio State will have to play Michigan. Now, this year was a little bit different, but they do that every single year.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Those are 3 games. So, Dan Lanning.
Wisconsin's going to play Notre Dame in the beginning of the season next year.
Wisconsin?
Here's the thing. It doesn't – right now, we're looking at the SEC – like what it used to be compared to the rest of the country.
RC, that's not what I'm
it's
saying.
no longer that. Now, because Vanderbilt competed the last 2 years, we've raised what it feels like to go play in Vanderbilt because it's not a walk in the park anymore. They also lost to Iowa like 2 weeks ago in a bowl game, right? When you look at the bowl matchups, the Big Ten is dominating. When you look at the college football playoffs, the Big Ten is dominating. I mean, last year in the championship, it was an independent and a Big Ten team, both of whom played in week 1. And so I do believe that now things have shifted to where we don't walk on the field with this big talent gap that we used to have. The disparity is closed. So now it's about execution. Now it's about closeness. Now it's about relationship. All things it didn't have to be about before. And what I love that Josh said is he compared the way SEC coaches used to hire to Cersei and Jamie Lannister. Buddy, incestuous. That's what it was. That's what it was. It wasn't about whether or not you're going to develop these guys because we had 2 schools that did it at a higher level than anybody else, Georgia and Alabama. And that's where we rested our hats because 1 year you'll get a Cam. 1 year you can fool around and get a Joe Burrow. They have to change or this SEC conference will be left aside as it pertains to winning national championships.
All right, we're going to leave this here. And, of course,
bring Josh back, man. Josh be getting it fired up.
Yes,
Josh,